Cardano holders, I don't know if you know, but what is happening right now in this Cardano chart is so massive. ADA making a monster move. And this is a 6-hour chart. You might be thinking, it's not that big of a move, but I'm talking about what this little move, because it's a little move on a zoomed in 6-hour, what it means on the macro. That's the monster move. What's happening on the macro, the weekly, the monthly charts, that multi-cycle story that we've been tracking for Cardano. This is a huge thing that's playing out right now. So hit the subscribe, hit the like. I'm going to jump right into it. And I actually want to start with the zoomed in analysis. And then I want to go over the weekly, the monthly charts. What is it that's happening over here that I think is so big? And let's start on the zoomed in, right? Let's start with the move, the target that actually was just hit, and then we'll pivot to that. And I want to start with a clip. This is from November 17th, a couple weeks ago. Check this out. Is look at these moving average support areas. Again, just like Bitcoin, what happens at the 20-day? There's potential for ADA, for Bitcoin, to see support here and actually start going higher. And that's that bullish divergence. That's that this is doing something different type of deal, right? This is doing something different type of deal, that support at the 20-day, that green line, and then going higher. I actually followed that by saying, I don't think it's going to happen. I think I gave it like a 20, 30% chance of actually happening, if not less, because if cycles were to repeat for ADA, the most likely move would be this support failed and we're coming down for a little bit longer because of where we are in the timeline pre-halving. Look what happened though. November 17th, you can see as I was doing that video, we got right around here, the continued support at this green line, the 20-day moving average, and the ultimate breakout to the upside. And along that higher low consolidation at the 20-day moving average, we were given this ascending triangle, right? And this is what has most recently broken out in the last few days, right to a 45-cent target. And just check this out. 45-cent target. I mean, it's 449 on this chart. I'm not even sure it hit 45 cent, but target hit, everybody. I want to talk about this target being hit, what it means on the short term, potential for a throwback now, and then I'm going to pivot to the weekly and the monthly. Excuse me. So this is the most, and I'll go to the daily because I think I mentioned this in yesterday's video. This is the most critical area of resistance. This is 45 cents. This is another piece of the macro story. This 45-cent region being broken, because this lower high of the bear market, and this is 2023 of April, this swing high and then ADA falling, this is such a critical area for ADA to break, because this will be the definition basically of ADA putting in a true higher low, meaning, or I'm sorry, higher high, right? So if ADA, because right now it hasn't done it, 45-cent target is like the 45-cent area that it hit back here. A higher high would be ADA continuing to the upside, right? And by the way, we have a 75-cent or so target to the upside. We also have, I think, an 80, 85 cent. There's a bunch of patterns going on down here. But right now, the resistance is this previous area, this previous swing high. ADA making a higher high would be so crucial as we zoom out on this chart for the flip of bear to bull, right? And this is what happens in cycles. So to give you an idea, if we're looking at this kind of swing high, this was so crucial to be broken as we pivot out of the bear into the next bull. And that was broken. That was not broken. ADA didn't put in a higher high until post-halving, post-Bitcoin halving that you see here. And it was like July 2020 or so where it put in that swing high right around Shelley hard fork and the staking mechanism. So this move is so critical. You can see we need to break this area. The fact that we're even testing the area and we're so far before halving, that alone, everybody, is so bullish. And I say that within context of maybe ADA falls now. We hit the 45-cent target. Maybe it falls now. Maybe we have to wait longer for a higher high for ADA. And we can talk about that. So let's talk about it on first the 6-hour, the daily, and then I'm going to show you those macros. Wait till you see this monthly RSI and the monthly chart, what is happening right now. But going to the 6-hour chart, it is so normal at this moment, especially because we have this 45-cent area's resistance of back months ago, right, that we just talked about. This is resistance. put that aside, when a target is hit, oftentimes it consolidates sideways or it kind of just falls, right, to its pattern that it broke out of. In this case, it would be the upper trend line around 39 to 40 cents. And the move could actually set up for continuation to the upside. I want to just point that out. So we could actually get, from where ADA is right now, we could get around a 10% move to the apex of the triangle and then consolidate and then move higher, right? Now, if you just notice when ADA gets these breakouts on the 6 hours, on the 6 hour chart, what I like to do is, we're trending up, and then it just starts cooling off. And you can see it pulling right into the moving averages. The moving averages on a 6 hour are not as meaningful as something like the daily, the weekly, but they're useful for illustration purposes, right? So we can, in the same sense, anticipate maybe just pulling into these moving averages before continuation, right? Pulling into moving averages before continuation. Support areas. Short-term 6 hour, right around 40 cents. Would be very normal, even if there's going to be continuation. Go to the daily chart. Support areas. If there's going to be a bigger retrace, likely in a scenario where all of crypto is retracing. Crypto markets have been hot right now. Retrace would look like yellow trend line, 35 cents. That yellow trend line is the trend line that ADA broke out of that goes all the way back here into August 2022. Remember, we have kind of this descending triangle for ADA, and this is where we get our, our massive, if we're looking at this massive like 85 cent target or so to the upside, right? So, but a revisit to the trend line, the yellow trend line that ADA broke out of, normal. So what's there at that 35 cent area, maybe even lower? If we go over to the weekly, this is what we're looking at, the really key moving average areas. And this is truly, in my opinion, what really matters. That is the 20-day moving average around 30 cents, the 50-day moving average around 33 cents, and just check it out. If, say, it's time for a couple weeks of consolidation, a week of consolidation, ADA is just trickling sideways or down, these moving averages pulling into ADA, that is such an important move for multi-cycle support awareness, right? To see if there's going to be support at these areas. Because in bull markets, and this is what we want, it's just support and separation from those areas. The green line, the blue line, the 20 and the 50. We want to see higher highs and higher lows above those areas. The first sign of that truly is support at those areas. And you can see when ADA put in its first higher high after the bear market last cycle, it cruised down right into these areas, saw support, and continued to upside. That's what we want to see now. So revisiting those areas is not necessarily a bad thing. I want to talk about real quick, if ADA continues to the upside, just remember, we're tracking targets to the upside still, 70, 80 cents to the upside. So monitoring just maybe structure as we're telling that story could be a big deal. But on the short term, if ADA is to go higher, I would definitely be monitoring some type of structure to start setting up. And with that could come volatility, right? So meaning if ADA actually keeps going, where do the retracements take us? And then what does some type of, formation structure look like? Now let's go over to the weekly. This is where I really wanted to talk about what's happening here. And that's just because this is probably the more important story for me. The fact that ADA is doing what it's doing earlier than it did last cycle. And you can see it breaking out of this trend line. It broke out of this trend line around Bitcoin halving. Bitcoin halving is still months away, the spring of 2024. The fact that it's happening earlier for ADA it's just such a compelling thing for me that tells me I think this next bull market for ADA and the Cardano ecosystem is going to be so massive. Now, if we go to the monthly chart, this is what I wanted to show you. Monthly oscillator, the RSI, slower moving momentum oscillator. I know it looks so terrible. It put in a kind of a new low compared to last bear cycle. But the fact that there was so much pain for crypto markets and for ADA, it makes the upside so much more strong. The upside potential, the upside opportunity, there's so much more room for upside. Now, here's what's happening on the RSI. You can see the RSI. I want to compare that breakout that we just talked about, 2020 halving, where the RSI was when that was happening. That was right here, and that was at halving. when ADA was breaking out at halving. Now we're getting the breakout months before halving, and ADA is lower. It's lower than it was then on the RSI. The reason I'm pointing that out is because that shows how much upside there is for ADA. Because two things to that. Number one, notice right here, when ADA was making this break, big break, right? Around 50 on the RSI, right in the middle. That was at around, what was ADA price? It, let's just call it 5 cents. And ADA went to $3. That's how much room of momentum there was on the slower moving momentum oscillator for the bull market. ADA's lower on this momentum oscillator this time around, but price is way higher, almost 10x higher. The explosion and the momentum to the upside that could happen for ADA, I don't think people realize. It's difficult when price is low. And the same thing back here, when price was around 5, 10 cents, it's difficult to imagine it's going to $3 the next cycle. It sounds like hopium. Same thing, 40, 44, 43 cents right now. It's difficult to imagine ADA can go to $7 to $10 in the next cycle, right? 350 billion. That's a lot of gains. Those are some life-changing gains. But the technicals are just, they don't care about thoughts or emotions. It's just data. It's, hey, this happened before. And then when you start bringing in data from a macroeconomic perspective and you start bringing in data in terms of, well, how much money's coming into the space? And we're looking at trillions coming into the space. Maybe we talked about a $10 trillion market cap for all of crypto. ADA market cap getting around 4% dominance as it has in cycles past. We're looking at an $11 ADA. So my point is, on the monthly, this oscillator, it's just setting up the picture for that to happen, the reality for that to happen from a strictly data perspective. And that's why I wanted to mention that. And I haven't even mentioned this. I'm not going to dig into this, but this has me so hyped right now. I feel very underexposed to ADA, Cardano native tokens, the gains. And I still think there's time. I think there's going to be retracements. There's time, but look at the gains in the Cardano ecosystem. I think people are sleeping on ADA. People are sleeping on this. They don't even realize there's a Cardano ecosystem of tokens launching. This is what happened on Ethereum. This is what happened on Ethereum before that last bull market, and Ethereum ecosystem absolutely exploded. This is something I'm watching on Cardano right now. There is so much opportunity. So we'll continue tracking that as well. I'll find a way to track it a little bit better. And let's see what ADA does on the short term, though. We have, it'd be amazing to see continued momentum to the upside, but everybody, huge resistance considering what happened back here in April 2023. And also just the fact that we've hit a short-term target. And it might be time to come down now. So let me know your thoughts, though, in the comments. I appreciate you watching. Hit the subscribe, turn notifications on. Your support means a ton. Appreciate each and every one of you. I'll see you next video. God bless.